President Barack Obama appeared at the COP26 United Nations Climate Change Conference in Scotland a few days ago. Russell, you had some thoughts on this conference generally, and we were going to get to it on our live show this last Sunday, but we kind of ran over shitting on Dr. Fauci, and so we didn't have time to shit on the UN Climate Change Conference. So go ahead.
Yeah.
You've been holding it in for a few days, so go ahead.
Well, it's looking like the upshot is going to be they're going to make a lot of empty promises and pledges. And it looks like the framework that's taking shape is, well, we really don't have to do a lot until 2040. And then we're going to do a lot between 2040 and 2050. And that's how we're going to meet the goal. So it's basically this. And then all of a sudden in that last 10 years, we're really going to get things going. So basically it's this ridiculous like accounting trick only with carbon. You know, we're going to meet our goals, but we're going to squeeze it all into the last 10 years to make it more politically palatable so that people won't really give a shit if we agree to this target that's, you know, going to be way in the future. They're not going to feel it till way in the distance. You know, as friend of the show Greta Thunberg would say, blah, blah, blah.
Right, exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
As kindred spirit, Greta Thunberg would put it, blah, blah, blah.
The government is too owned by interests that make too much money off the status quo for our political class to solve this problem.
Right, because the political class and we have a political class that is determined to partner with said interests as opposed to confront said interests. The way to solve this problem.
We here at BP are part of the green energy solution.
Right, exactly. It's all that bullshit.
They're just going to do all this greenwashing, gaslighting. But look, I know, and I'm sure you too know the kind of people who those like Sunday morning roundtable commercials are aimed at, who feel all warm and fuzzy when they see diverse people working for BP smiling and over, you know, a very warm and fuzzy soundtrack about how BP is making a difference in people's lives. And the liberals will eat that shit up. They'll eat it up. They'll buy it hook, line, and sinker, especially when the all-time all-star pitchman Barack Obama is going to back anything that they do. Whatever they do, he's going to go, we're making a difference.
Well, speaking of Barack Obama,
people heard your voice.
Let's play a little sound from Barack Obama, although there was this great headline that I just had to mention while we're on this, because you talk about how they're talking about, you know, the massive action coming about 20 years in the future. There was some satire website, I forget what it was. It wasn't The Onion, that had a headline in response to this conference: man pledges to quit drinking by 2050.
I saw that.
thought that was great. But speaking of Barack Obama, let's play a little bit of sound. These are 3 different clips. They were almost consecutive because you can see they take place between 2:34 and 2:37.
There are times where I feel discouraged. There are times where the future seems somewhat bleak.
But then I look at how much money I got on that Netflix deal, and I feel better.
Together before it's too late. And
there are times when I'm doubtful humanity could get its act together before it's too late. Now, I'm doing my part. Listen, I had 500 people on the guest list for my 60th birthday, and I sat down with Michelle and I said, you know what? 500 guests, that sounds like about 100 private chartered planes. I think we can do our part here and reduce our carbon footprint by cutting the guest list down to 300. That'll only be about 40 or 50 private chartered planes. And so, listen, we're doing our part here. You all better get your act together.
And
Axelrod, go fuck yourself.
Right, exactly. You were guest 302 at the final count. So I'm sorry about that. We can only take the first 300. You were at 298, but then we found out that Nelly Furtado was coming to the Vineyard that weekend. And, you know, Sasha and Malia love them some Nelly Furtado.
You know how
and
they
I
feel
tried
about
explaining to them, I said, listen, I got to include the Axe. Axe is the one who got me elected. Axe is the reason we got this house. And they said, fuck that bitch, take him golfing 9 holes. We want Nelly Furtado at the birthday party. And so I had to do what I had to do.
You still take his phone calls. You should be happy with that.
Exactly. All right, let's hear more of this guy.
Images of dystopia start creeping into my dreams.
Visions of dystopia creep into Obama's dreams.
And yet, whenever I feel such despondency, I remind myself that cynicism is the recourse of cowards.
Really?
We can't afford hopelessness.
You must be the biggest fucking coward on the planet.
Instead, we are going to have to muster the will and the passion and the activism of citizens pushing governments, companies, and everyone else to meet this challenge. That's what allowed the U.S. to do its part over the last few years to meet our climate goals, even when we didn't have much leadership on it.
Okay, this is another astounding part. That's what allowed the U.S. to meet our climate goals. Like, the arrogance of all of this is just infuriating. The arrogance and the narcissism of this whole green project, especially a bunch of elites gathering here and talking like this. But the arrogance of it, our climate goals, we met our climate goals. You know, our climate goals don't really mean anything. It's not about whether we meet our climate goals. It's about whether the planet meets its climate goals. The Mother Nature is the one who sets the climate goals. So our climate goals were met because I joined some bullshit Paris Climate Accord, some fucking New World Order screw job that's not going to make a dent in the climate crisis. But those were the goals that we set for ourselves, and we were hitting them just fine until a bunch of troglodytes in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Ohio voted for Donald Trump. And that's basically what he was saying.
It wasn't just elected officials or CEOs doing the right thing. It was ordinary Americans making their voices heard, making it clear we need to solve this problem regardless of the obstacles. People who organized and educated others in their communities.
My conversation with Mr. Bruce Springsteen.
Governments to do better.
Means well, but has really been rich for far too long to have any connection to the common person, which is why I'd be sitting down with me and legitimizing me in that way. If you heard our conversation, the boss is very concerned about this. You don't want to disappoint the boss.
People who turn their passion into votes. That's the kind of commitment we're going to need going forward.
People who turn their passion into votes. This guy speaks as if he were never the president. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just astounding. Turn their passion into votes. He comes back
and everything that went wrong wasn't his fault. None of it.
Well, he gets into it's amazing what he said. Like the second part of this is
he has no responsibility for his own presidency.
It's just
whatsoever.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
And if you say otherwise, you're a racist.
Because let's face it, this is not just about raw numbers. This is not just about science. This is about politics. It's about culture. It's about morality. It's about the human dynamic. How do we work together to get a big thing done? And it's about participation and power. Thinking back on my own experience as president, I would have had the power to do even more to fight climate change during my time in office if I'd had a stable congressional majority that was willing and eager to take action.
Again, you had a stable and robust majority that you squandered by sicking your Justice Department on homeowners instead of bankers, and that you squandered by passing a dog shit Rube Goldberg healthcare plan that ended up just enriching insurance companies even more. Like, you had the majority. How do you think
fucking the middle class?
Right. I mean, it's just incredible.
It's that what's amazing to me about Obamacare is that was really the knock on liberal policies that allowed excuse me, that allowed the Reagan Revolution ascendancy. That these programs, in the end, the middle class wind up paying for them. That, the rich can protect themselves from the taxes, and the poor are eligible for the programs and don't pay those taxes. The middle class are not eligible for those programs and they have to pay the taxes to pay for it.
Right. Exactly.
This Obamacare played to that old knock on liberalism, that in the end, the middle class doesn't benefit, but they pay for everybody else.
Exactly. And that's how he lost his majority that he complains about. But this last part is really the coup de grace, because he talks about right now what's going on.
And for the bulk of my presidency, I didn't have that majority.
Once again, not his responsibility to keep that majority that he had at the beginning of his presidency. Not his responsibility.
Because we know it's like Chitlu, you know, some weird race of monsters emerged in the heartland and overthrew his majority. It has nothing to do with him.
All right, let's just let him play this out here.
I am convinced that President Biden's Build Back Better bill will be historic and a huge plus for U.S. action on climate change. But keep in mind, Joe Biden wanted to do even more.
Here's my favorite line.
He's constrained by the absence of a robust majority that's needed to make that happen.
He's constrained by the absence of a robust majority that's needed to make that happen. No, he's constrained by corrupt, moderate Democrats, the kind that Barack Obama has propped up since he left the White House, the kind that Barack Obama put his thumb on the scale for in 2 consecutive primaries, the kind that Barack Obama has covered the ass of at every opportunity, whether that pertains to direct electoral campaigns or just like generally busting the NBA strike, right? Just like the sliminess of that. And you could tell he didn't know how to put it. He just said he doesn't have the oh, wait a minute. He does have a majority. Oh, he doesn't have a robust majority. He has, you know,
he doesn't have a big enough majority to overcome the corruption.
Right. So it wasn't worth it for Barack Obama in that moment because look,
more Democrats.
People have said that progressives should call out Manchin and Sinema by name for their corruption, particularly Manchin. If you're at a climate conference and you have a coal baron holding up the climate agenda, you would think before the UN, if you really gave a shit about this the way you pretend to by taking these long dramatic pauses in between statements, you think you could right there say, hey, Joe Manchin, you better get your fucking ass in line. Barack Obama has a stature. He could do that if he took this problem seriously enough to do that. The fact that he wouldn't do that there, the fact that he took a pause and realized, wait a minute, do I call out the fossil fuel funded Democrats? Or do I make up some bullshit phrase about how it's not a robust enough majority? And you know what? I should even rephrase that. It's not even making up a bullshit phrase. It's do I call out moderate Democrats or do I say the solution is simply elect more Democrats? And he went in the direction of elect more Democrats, which tells you everything you have to know about this lying, two-faced sack of garbage. This is just like he gets worse and worse and worse, this guy.
He does. It's amazing that anyone really takes him seriously, but they do. We're living in very Orwellian times. The media does not report the news, and most people, we've talked about this. I don't blame people for not having the time to do their own research. Who has time for that, especially in this climate? People are fucking overworked. They're working 2 jobs. They're working 3 jobs. They're gonna go read Chomsky. I mean, it's the media's job to tell them, well, actually, Barack Obama was the fracker in chief. Actually, Barack Obama opened up the Arctic Wildlife Refuge to drilling twice
and bragged about it in his post-presidency.
It's their job to. Yeah, he did.
He said, we're the number 1 oil producer. You can thank me for that, people, or something like that.
All right. It's their job to tell people that, and they don't tell them that. And not only that, they spend all of their time scaring the living shit out of people. And when they're scared, they're easy to brainwash. They're easy to manipulate. They scare the shit out of them. And then they present them with this facile Manichean narrative in which Barack Obama is one of the good guys on the side of the angels. And That's how they understand the world. I don't blame them. I blame the people who are supposed to be informing them, which is the media. We have lost the free press. And that's the only reason a douchebag like Barack Obama can give a speech like this without people doing what I did when you played that first line for me. I mean, my authentic reaction was I just burst out laughing because it was so absurd. If you understand the truth about Barack Obama, to watch him say something like that.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, look, the whole thing is absurd. Like, does anybody really believe that these gatherings of elites, are going to be fruitful in coming up with actual climate solutions? When we talk about, like we said at the beginning of the segment, exactly, it's Davos for the environment. It's a bunch of rich people gathering to feel a little less guilty about being the beneficiaries of a system that has destroyed much of the human race and has taken a lot of other species along with it and is about to make the natural world uninhabitable for human beings sooner than later. And does anybody actually believe that this is going to pull us away from the brink? When he says, sometimes I wonder if humanity can get its act together before it's too late. It already is too late. It already is too late. It's been too late. It's been too late. And part of the reason it's really too late now is because of the crock of shit presidency turned in by Barack Obama.
Right.
So it's over. Like, this just rings so incredibly false to anyone who actually has an understanding. I mean, look, the fucking Inconvenient Truth movie came out in 2004, and you got Al Gore saying, we have 10 years. Well, that was it. That was the what, 18 years ago, 17 years ago?
I'll do you better than that. Jimmy Carter installed solar panels on the roof of the White House. One of the first things Reagan did was take them down.
Right, exactly. But like all of the shit, I mean, it just makes no sense. Now, if you notice, before we wrap on the segment, Obama spoke very slowly there because when he wants people to take him seriously, he adds these long pauses in between. Each sentence, each phrase. And so I, sort of semi-professional video editor that I am, I compiled a little sort of super take segment for that video. So if you want to show people the best parts of that Obama speech, right, minus all of the filler and all the bullshit, you can play it for them. So here it is, the compressed version. These are the best parts of that segment. These are by far the best moments of the speech.
Knows how to play to that camera, that's for sure. It's a little, they always made this comparison with Trump, but there's a little Il Duce going on there. A little bit with the jaw.
Yeah, I guess I could, yeah.
Yeah, he means that.
Does that?
That one he means.
The lip.
Yeah, he really means it.
Yeah. Well,
that's it. That's his version of the Clinton thumb.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You're gonna have a new generation of Democrats.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe wherever you saw it, on YouTube, on Rumble, or on Facebook. We have channels on all three of those platforms. Also, consider helping us create more content by becoming a member at patreon.com/DoDissidents or on Facebook, where you can become a supporter right through our Facebook page and get bonus content every week, as well as call-in access to our live stream shows. Thank you very much for your continued support.